about suicide as we need to, because people are still dying by suicide um, at record numbers and droves. So I know that we had a conversation about all the things that were going on with COVID. You know, you probably have overheard COVID. You don't want to hear nothing else about COVID in 2020, and all the things that shifted and changed. But we heard numbers about people that were passing away or dying because of COVID. And the numbers that we did not hear are numbers of those who were passing away by suicide, because those numbers jumped and were really, really increased. So I want to just give you a few statistics, because if you're a numbers person, I'm a numbers person, kind of, until I got into business. But when it comes to suicide, I want you just to hear a few of these numbers. Okay. So 46,000 people. Suicide is the leading cause of death in the United States. It was responsible for nearly 46,000 deaths in 2020. So as we heard all the deaths about suicide or COVID, we heard all the deaths that were going on, um, just period, that was happening. We did not hear the numbers of people that were dying by suicide. And that is why I still do what I do. That's why I didn't go shut down. I was an essential worker and am an essential worker because I work in healthcare, and because I work in trauma, and because I definitely work with those who are at risk of harming themselves. I didn't shut down for that very reason, because the stress of COVID skyrocketed people's mental health issues, the suicidal thoughts, and suicidal actions, or yeah, actions, behaviors that led to these deaths. Another number that I want you to hear is all in 2020. And so I want you to be aware that this is 2020. So now it's 2022. And these numbers, anytime we give you statistics, and this is from the CDC, anytime we give you or I give you information or statistics, they are always in the past. So it's not counting what's happening right now or who has not reported. But 12.2 million, so 12.2 million adults seriously thought, this is adults only, seriously thought about suicide. 3.2 million made a plan, and 1.2 million attempted. I'm going to read those again. 12.2 million seriously thought about. So we're not talking about, oh, I had a thought, I was upset, and it was fleeting and it was gone, here 1 minute, gone the next. No, seriously thought about it. 3.2 million went from just seriously thinking about it to making a plan. And of those 3.2 that made a plan, 1.2 attempted that plan or attempted suicide. So again, here the first number that I gave you, and 46,000 was 46 people passed away or died in 2020. Yeah, 2020 by suicide. Suicide the rates are 30% higher than they were 20 years ago. So as we're talking about mental health awareness, and we are seeing different events that are going on in the community, we may be hearing about different people who are, or organizations who are doing things. We still have to do more, because people are still dying by suicide. People are still seriously considering taking their life. And I know that, some of you may be aware, but there was a young lady that was on Instagram that posted, and I think this was about a week ago, and I want to say she was in Mississippi, and I won't give her name, but she was in a different state. But a few moments before she committed suicide, she made a post on Instagram, her goodbye letter. And in her goodbye letter, stated, that she loved people and she had been thinking about this for years. So when we have this conversation and I'm asking what you're looking for, the question is a serious question, because I want to know, what are you looking for? So tonight we're going to talk about a few things, because there's a lot of things that we can look for when it comes to suicide prevention. But one of the main things that we want to bring awareness to is people are so stressed, severely struggling mentally. And 2020 wasn't the start of what has been happening. 2020 was an edge pusher for a lot of people. It was the excuse me, the straw that broke the camel's back for a lot of people. It was just what some people um, felt pushed them over the edge, and they were really struggling because I saw a lot of people who were in crisis during that year, people that I already been seeing that were not on crisis mode, I guess I would say, but because of the stressors of the pandemic, again, not being able to see family, not being able to go out. 2020 for a lot of, especially for a lot of young people. And again, I read you numbers of adults, but there was in the number of suicidal. Um, we don't have the numbers for youth just yet. There's so many. And it breaks my heart because 2020 was a huge number that increased for those who attempted, those who thought it, and those who committed, the same way that it was for adults. But it was even more increased for our youth because, again, there not only did the life of the adults shift, but it really impacted our young people because, again, how many people did they have plans of graduation? 2020 didn't get what you usually get, and so these things that are happening that were affecting our generations really struggled. They really struggled that year, and the year after. People are still trying to get back to, I want to say norm, but try to get back to some sense of normalcy, some sense of calm, of getting back to life. And so I'm going to just give you a few. So as you heard me say with the statistics, that one of the main ones is that someone is threatening to hurt themselves, kill themselves, take their life. And a threat can come out verbally. And as you saw, as I stated with the post, you didn't see it, but I stated with the post that was on social media. And some people put theirs on social media where they are speaking in their post and they're saying things like, I can't do this anymore. It would just be better if I wasn't here. And so we may see a lot of different posts that come out that people are having those thoughts or alluding to that they are thinking of taking their life. And again, I encourage you to report it, whether you think it's real, they are just, you think they are just trying to pull people's legs or they're not serious about it. No matter what you think about it, whether you know the person or not, report that post because it's better safe than sorry. And so I encourage that. So as we talk about mental health awareness, we cannot talk about what these warning signs are too much because they need to stay on our radar constantly because people are constantly every single day taking their lives. So if someone has, it's an increased risk if they have a previous suicide attempt or they've had thoughts before. So I gave the example of the young lady who put her goodbye letter on social media, as so many people have probably done before. In her letter, she stated, I've been having these thoughts for years and I've been fighting them. So people who are struggling with suicidal thoughts could definitely be having the thoughts previously. It may not be the first time. So if they verbalize it to you and say, I just really don't want to be here anymore, Theresa, I'm going to use my own name in this conversation. So let's say, Theresa, I really don't want to be here anymore. I don't see any point of life. When they verbalize that, that's a huge indication to me that maybe they have already thought about it before they verbalized it, because even verbalizing it is harder. And it may have just been piling up. So I definitely take heed to what those comments, statements like that. And of course, it may not come directly out like I'm going to kill myself, but you need to listen to what you're looking for is those statements that sound like they are done with life. And sometimes you have to know the person to know what those statements are. Some statements can, depending on what the conversation and the context of that conversation could be saying to you, um, it is what it is. So say, we're talking about something really heavy and that person ends with it is what it is. And that's a statement that, people have been saying and they kind of chalk it up as it is what it is. But that may be something for you to dig a little deeper. What does that mean? What does that mean, Theresa? It is what it is. What do you mean by that? And if they repeat it, that means it is what it is. Okay, but what is it? It's okay to inquire. As we talked about before last year with asking the right questions, it's important to dig We have gotten this culture that's accustomed to just telling people, I'm okay, I'm fine, it is what it is. And those are statements that are covering up the true pain of what's happening under us. So we are used to just giving that and people just moving on and not asking any further. But when it comes to mental health awareness, we need to ask further. Ask, you're not wrong for asking. Somebody may be upset at you. Why are you asking me that? I'd rather you be mad at me, as I tell many people that I work with that may have reported some suicidal thoughts. I say, I would rather you be angry with me and be alive than you not be and be deceased. So if you're angry with me, you're still living. And so I did my job. And so, yes, because I am definitely for life. I'm definitely for helping people to continue to live. So it's important for us to have those. And feel free, if you have any questions, to post those, ask those as you are joining. Feel free to conversate and let us know that you are here. Good evening. Good evening to all those who are joining us, whether you're joining us on whatever platform. Welcome, welcome. And I'm appreciating you being here and spending your time with us on this evening and hearing this information, because I want you to hear. And whether you're cooking dinner or you're hearing this information because you got the headphones on or you're looking at something else, you're playing the game and just hearing it or having it in the background, I need you to pay attention to this one tonight. I need you to hear this one tonight because it can save somebody's life. And I can't tell you how many people have sat across from me as family members or supports or loved ones to say, I wish I would have known. I wish they would have come to me. That I wish. And so these are those times that I'm wishing you listen. I'm wishing that you would take these conversations very seriously because you can save someone's life in your circle, in your environment. Okay, so as we gave the first two, is that someone is threatening suicide verbally. And sometimes that verbal is not, or threats are not verbal. Again, they're not just outright telling you that. You may see it written in a text, in an email, um, in a video. Now, we have TikTok and Instagram and, all the things, all the social medias. The threats can be coming out in that way as well. So monitor those. If you're scrolling, if you see something that's questionable, again, feel free to report it or, ask about that, what that person is meaning when they make that threat. Previous suicide attempt. And then one that I definitely want you to hear is the searching for means. We have what is wonderful World Wide Web. It's wonderful in some cases, and in some cases, it is very dangerous when it's in the wrong hands at the wrong time. And so sometimes people are searching for means of completing their plan or um, having suicidal thoughts when they're searching. And they can be searching online, searching on YouTube, searching on all the social media sites. And so we want, for those who are parents, especially for our youth, for those who are concerned about friends or loved ones, ask them if you can see their search history. Now, I won't say that people are going to just willingly hand that over, but especially if you have a young person, please monitor search history for very, very many reasons, but that's one of them. Because if they're searching how to die, searching, ways to kill yourself, those kind of things. If they're searching with means of asking others, they may be searching for that plan or a way out for them to take their lives, or a way for them to take their lives. And then I'll share this other one that I want you to look for is when someone is withdrawing from social interactions. You seem to can't get them on the phone. You can't seem to get them in your space. Every time you say, hey, how you doing? You don't get a response. And that's not like them. So again, there's maybe a dramatic change to their behavior. They may have been outgoing and now they're completely recluse and they don't want to talk to anybody or have a conversation. So those are something to be looking for and ask about when you see that. And as we talked about before, get creative with your questions. Asking, are you okay? May not be enough. It may be enough, and depending on who you're talking to, but if they, oh, I'm okay, then ask further. okay, I hear that you're okay. You've been pulling away lately, or I haven't been able to get in contact with you, and that's not like you. Or I have not been able, we haven't been hanging out. Or every time I call you, you don't take my calls. And again, people can take time away. It's a balance. I understand that we can take time away and have space, and that's fine. But it's okay to also inquire when you notice some changes that are questionable. And I always tell people, go with your gut. You know when something is off with people. People talk about in the world, there's different statements of like auras and energy and people's vibes. You know when something is off with somebody. You may be like, I know, I just knew it. And as people have said, again, sitting on the other end of the conversation of those who have lost loved ones to suicide, there are times that people are like, I knew something was off. I just couldn't put my finger on it. Or I tried to ask and they wouldn't, I just asked them, were they okay? They told me they were, and I believe that. Or, people say, it's not a guilt trip that I'm trying to give. I just wanted to give you some awareness of how to push past the I'm okay. If you feel like that's just a general response to get you to back away. Because again, if I don't want to talk to you about it, that's fine. You may not want to talk to me about it, but I'm going to, you ain't got to talk. I'm going to just sit here with you. I feel like, something is off. I'm concerned about you. And you may not want to talk, and I respect that, but I just want to be here with you. And so again, depending on that nature of that relationship, that may be screaming volumes for somebody who is crying on the inside and don't know how to verbalize it, or needing someone to reach out to them and they don't know how to ask for help, or they are struggling to ask for help. This is your chance to, again, seek. What are you looking for? So again, if they have threatened it, if they are have had previous suicidal thoughts, definitely inquire about that. If you know family members, friends, or someone who has previously thought about suicide or threatened it or attempted it, definitely you want to check on them. Them are high on healthcare's radar generally. If you see withdrawal, or pulling back from their relationships, now there's a big what's the word I'm looking for? There's this, I don't want to call it a fad, but it almost seems like it is, where it's like, let's cut everybody off, cut people out of your life. That may be happening in some cases in a really good way, in a really good manner. People who are not helpful to my relationships or to my mental health or well-being or my emotional health or well-being. But some people are cutting people off to isolate, to pull back away from healthy relationships, or to pull back from people in general. And so again, if that's something that steps up to you and you're like, or that comes up in you as a concern, again, ask. So if you're hearing these different ones, you're like, okay, if I've noticed that, then what? Ask. And I know that, with some of the myths, people say, well, if I ask them, that's going to give them an idea. As we talked about previous years, when you ask someone if they're suicidal, you do not put the idea in their mind. It's very slim to none. Does that ever happen? If someone's not suicidal, they're going to just tell you, no, I'm not suicidal. If someone is already thinking it and you ask it, you get to expose what the thoughts are. And so we want to make sure that we are exposing so that we can keep these numbers low. I want them to be zero. Our work is that there's no more people dying of suicide. There's no one, not adults, not men, not children, nobody is dying of suicide. So I know that's a huge vision to have, but I know a lot of organizations that have that same vision, that no one else dies by suicide. So right now we have 46,000 that died in 2020, 12.2 million that seriously thought about it, 3.2 million that had a plan, and 1.2 million that attempted it, all in 2020. And we know that the rates of suicide were 30% higher. So again, I'm repeating those numbers because I wanted to shock you. If that's a lot of people, and that's only those who are reporting it, because not everybody is telling you. Some people are passing away and you don't know it's suicide, and they kind of get left or get through the cracks. You don't know that those numbers should be higher. So I just want to give you some information on what you're looking for in anybody. Always look for changes in behavior, changes in mood. And people have a right to, have not have great days. We said that before. It's okay to not be okay, but it's not okay to not ask for help when you need it. And it's not okay to not ask someone else for help when you know they need it. That's not okay. So um, please make sure that you are looking, and asking. So know what you're looking for so you can know what to ask. Okay, I see a question. So I see Jerry asking, so what are the steps to getting someone who is suicidal to help? First of all, don't, and we're going to go in more detail with this one in our next one, but this one, don't leave them by themselves. If someone reports to you that they are suicidal, don't leave them by themselves. As I said before, okay, I'm going to sit with you. I'm going to give you, before we end, I was going to give you the suicide hotline number. Again, and if you're in the local area of Terre Haute, you can call the 812-231-8200 crisis line, and that is in the 10 county radius of Vigo, Vermilion, Clark, or not Clark, Greene, Greene County, Putnam County, um, and Clay. So I was going to say, I said Clark, I meant Clay. All of those can definitely call that number and you'll get someone on the line. The National Suicide Hotline, so no matter where you are, is 1-800-237-TALK. And so in numbers, that's 1-800-237-8255. Again, 1-800, so put it in your phone so you ain't got to try to think about it at the time that you need to pick it up. You need to be immediate if someone is saying they're suicidal or you know that they are suicidal, they're talking to you about it, you found that they are, threatening it on social media, they are searching it out, and they're pulling away, or any of those. I definitely want you to call somebody. And if you're like, I don't know what to do, it's okay to call that phone number, either one of these phone numbers that I'm giving you, and ask for help. You don't have to do that by yourself. So again, the local number, if you're in the Vigo County area, Vermilion County, Clay, Park, Putnam, Greene, that's 812-231-8200. If it's national, anywhere else in the nation, they can get you to a local person. So it's 1-800-237-TALK. And that's 1-800-237-8255. If you're not somebody to call, if it's you, if it's time to get that you feel that way and you struggle, you can also text. There's a text line, especially for our young people, of asterisk 741-741. So you can text that, and that gets you right to the suicide prevention hotline as well. So, are there any other questions, comments, concerns? This is one that I definitely will be happy to answer questions. Yes, absolutely. So I'm going to let you know the question that I'm getting from Jerry. Thank you for the questions, Jerry. Do you think that there is a stigma out there that people that deal with suicidal thoughts are crazy, quote crazy, and thus they don't look for help? Absolutely. I think there's a stigma that anyone who needs help with anything, whether depression, anxiety, anything, is that they are viewed in a negative light, and so they don't ask for the help that they need, or they feel like they're not going to get the help. I've already asked and it didn't work the first time or the second time. And so people sometimes get burnt out with doing the same thing over and over again, or if they feel like they've already reached out and didn't get the response they were looking for, and so they'll pull back on that. And so I'm going to encourage, that's where they may need that extra support from someone who is also looking. When you notice it, and I will tell you, as we've talked about in our lives previously, people are a lot of times screaming in silence, and they're wanting somebody to notice. They're wanting someone to say, like, hello, what's going on? Even if I don't know how to communicate it, you can just outright ask, are you having thoughts about taking your life? Are you no longer wanting to be alive? Because then we can get the help. So yes, thank you so much for that question. So again, call those numbers. during our time that we are here in the office, feel free to call us if you don't know what to do and you're like, okay, I need some help with this. The agencies in the area are definitely willing and able to help because we want people to live. We want people to live. And I don't mean just exist and just going through life in pain. We want people to live and really enjoy life. And so we have to get help to those who are hurting if we plan on helping people live. Any other questions? So again, thank you so much for those questions, Jerry. Any other questions? Let me also, I'm going to answer a question that I usually get or a concern that I usually get. I get, especially from my young people, that they don't want to talk about suicidal thoughts because they're concerned that they're going to immediately be put in the hospital. That is not the goal. And I have to stress that to them. That is not the goal. We're not trying to lock you up or to have you put away somewhere. And sometimes, social media, the World Wide Web, movies can make things more, can dramatize things and they not be realistic. So some people may see that on TV and think that's what happens. That's not what happens. What we want to do is put us, well, speaking from my experience and what I do, is put a support around people. We want to make sure, and some people may say, well, what if I don't have anybody? Then we become your support. If we can't find anyone to help keep you safe, we can't, because we go into a whole plan of making sure we can keep you safe. If we can't find anyone, and typically at that time, people can find somebody who's willing to help keep them safe, monitor, keep them alive, talk with them, sit with them, whatever that may look like. And different ones have different plans. But I want that to be known that we're not trying to lock people up. And I say we, I'm saying the healthcare world, that's not our goal. Our goal is life, is to keep you alive, keep whoever alive. So again, I want you to know what you're looking for. So your eyes are going to see somebody before my eyes would. The people who are in the environment, the people who are talking to them every day, seeing them at work, seeing them, at the grocery store. You see them every day and they get the same, chicken nuggets and fries. But this time, you ain't seen them in a few weeks. And I'm not saying somebody comes to your drive through, but people who are on your job that you see routinely, that you can contact, definitely reach out. Hey, are you doing okay? It's okay to ask people those questions. So any other questions before we pause this one on tonight? Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing it. I'm going to thank you in advance because this is one that I need from young and old, because even our young people are definitely getting text messages that parents will never see unless somebody tells them. There are so many children, there are so many youth that have saved lives in the last couple of years, and they definitely need to be celebrated, but you don't hear their names, our silent heroes. So we want to make sure that our young people, your children, need to also hear this. They need to know what to look for in their friends. When their friends are pulling away, most of the time people are like, well, that's just, they don't want to be my friend. Sometimes it's not that. Sometimes they're really depressed and they're pulling away because they don't know how to reach out for help. And they meet somebody that would be willing to maybe get an adult and say, hey, let's talk to so-and-so. They may be mad in that moment, but their life will be spared. Their life will be saved. And again, we want to keep people alive. So thank you for watching, for listening, and for sharing. And I mean sharing verbally, sharing, click and sharing, sending it to people, because we need to get these numbers down. And especially, and I want you to know, in our African American communities and our faith-based communities, suicide is happening. Suicide is happening. As much as it breaks my heart, it is. It's happening. And we want to make sure that we can stop it. So if you are needing some help, please reach out to us. We're located conveniently right next to the ISU Memorial Football Stadium here in Terre Haute, but we also do telehealth sessions. So if you're needing services and you're like, okay, I'm having thoughts, but I need some help with those thoughts, or I know somebody who's having thoughts and they need help. We help with that as well. So please reach out so we can make sure we can give people the help they need and keep people alive. I'm going to keep saying it. People, they say keep hope alive. We need to keep people alive. Let's keep them alive, keep them living. So thank you again for joining us, and for asking questions and being involved, because answering questions and asking definitely gives people the help that they need. So thank you, thank you, thank you. You guys have a great, blessed week, and let's keep our eyes and ears open for those loved ones around you. So they say check on your strong friends, check on all your friends. Check on people who ain't your friends. Check on family, check on the coworkers, check on neighbors, check on people, because people are hurting. Okay, and that's my spiel. I feel this so strong. I'm just like, please check on people. Check on everybody. Check on those who are checking on people, because them are the people that typically don't get checked on. Y'all have a great night, great week, and I will see you back here next week with another mental health awareness topic that we can make sure that we keep the stigma down and keep people alive. Have a blessed week, you all. Bye bye. Thank you for joining.